everybody. How's everybody going? All right, y'all a little tired? Are you well fed? Are you ready? Do you have energy? I know it's a lot of talking. I know it's been a long day. I know it's going to be even longer in the evening. So again, my name is Neena Speer, and I am a rising 3L student at the University of Alabama School of Law. And the topic I'm going to talk to you guys about today is the importance of diverse experience in leadership development. Show of hands. Anybody in this room who thinks they're diverse, go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, if you're not raising your hand, you are sadly mistaken, my friend. If you are in this room and you came to this room, there is something about each and every one of you that is unique and that stands out on the page. When you write your diversity statement, if I had the pleasure of working with you for your diversity statement workshop, or if I didn't and you got to come, there is something that sticks out to you for the law school, to you for your employer, to you that stands out that you're not giving enough guidance and support to, because you've been told your whole life that being black or being Latina or being whatever you are, that's the only thing that makes you diverse. Well, I'm here to tell you that diversity is just, it's something that you develop over time. The University of Oregon states that the concept of diversity encompasses acceptance and respect. How many of you would love to be respected and accepted in every classroom you walk into? I really hope I see everyone's hands. If you don't want to be respected and accepted, let me go now. But I think everyone's common goal is to be respected and accepted. So my first thing when I think about diversity, I think about bringing that to the classroom. When I think about, I don't want to be the only such and such voice in the classroom, I think about, I don't want to be the only person they turn to. But what's the problem with being the only person they turn to? What's wrong with being the one that they go and ask, what do black people think? If you actually did your research, if you actually knew how to look at it from multiple different angles, except for you don't want to be the one singled out, you don't want attention. I don't want attention. I don't think I'm really that great of a public speaker, but God has ordained me with a great speaking sense, so I'm going to accept it. Yeah. So when you come into a room, you have to come in with confidence. When you write your diversity statement, don't write, I'm black, I'm Latina, my friends say I do this, I did this. Own it. It's when you walk into a room, if you are able to bring life into everything, the employer is going to learn how to give you the acceptance you need and the respect that you deserve. You can't ask people to accept and respect you by saying, look, I've been mistreated my whole life. We all been mistreated at some point in time, correct? So let me tell you a quick story. My mom and dad are my role models, the people I look up to. But my mom and dad don't have a normal story. So my mom is Indian. She's from India, the country, not Native American, not Cherokee, not Choctaw. No, you not Indian like me, you Native American. We can have that conversation outside. But my dad is black. That is not a typical combination, and nobody ever believes me when I tell them that I have no idea how this 5-foot Indian woman met this 6'8" black man, and here me and my sister were born. But what I will tell you is that I learned so much from them is that my mom brings with her this culture of respecting your elders. When I go to see my mother's family, we touch every adult, and I mean anyone who's older than me's feet as a sign of respect. You as a young person, we've lost it. Like our generation has lost that sign of respect, that automatic, you get deference because you are a little older than me and you have a little bit more knowledge than me. When you miss that, when you forget that, when you walk into a classroom, when you walk into a law classroom, you miss the opportunity to learn, because there are professors who've done this years over and again, and you come in with, oh, I've worked before. Oh, I did stuff before. I ran a company before. Well, that's wonderful. But if you take that humble slice of pie and you're like, you know what, I need to sit here and learn and gather as much information. There was a young lady that I won't call out, but she knows who she is. If you just come in and gather knowledge, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be a gatherer of knowledge. Diversity means that you gather knowledge. You accept culture. You know that there's an Indian person in your class. You know that there's a person who hasn't had a really great life, who doesn't have both parents, who has a child, who had a child out of wedlock, whatever. You know somebody, but you don't use those experiences to like, oh, I got a friend like that. You use those experiences to learn so that one day when someone needs help, when someone needs guidance, you can be that connector. That's what diversity is. That's what you need to value when you do a leadership development. When you're taking on a leadership role, just be advised, you're not going to fit in. You're not supposed to fit in. If you fit in, you failed. You missed the mark. You don't know what it's like to be in a room where everybody's the same. If every single one of y'all were the same, you wouldn't all get into law school. I'm going to speak that every single one of you coming to this conference is going to get into law school. If you came with that intent and you write your goals with that intent, you're going to get into law school. But you have to walk in the room and say, I'm diverse. I'm not going to fit in. I don't fit in all the time, and I don't have everything correct. If you open your mind to not being correct all the time, if you open your mind that sometimes you fail, my resume is never done. I actually met somebody at the development, the resume workshop. I said, can you look at it again? It's done, but it's not complete. There's still more things that I can improve on. Every single thing that you do in life needs improvement. So, second, moving forward, sorry if I'm talking fast, y'all. If I'm boring you, let me know. If I'm talking too fast, let me know. Leaders. What do you think of when you say you see a leader in the street? Like, what do you think of? Give me some adjectives. Shout them out. Huh? Strong, bold, confident, courageous, protective, adversive, interpersonal, street smart, conservative, hustler. Ooh, I like that one. Continue. Sociable, focused, listener, inspiring, optimistic, confident. I like it. Now bring it together. What is missing from every one of y'all's adjectives? Unity, diversity, development. You can't just be a leader. You have to learn how to develop leaders. When you are diverse, you learn how to develop leaders because you've already looked at different cultures, different personalities, different situations where you didn't fit in or somebody didn't fit in, and you've taken people's life experiences and learned how to compile that this person operates this way, but this person operates another way. Diversity is not just about being black or white. It's about learning how to deal with multiple personalities. So if you don't know how to deal with different personalities, you're not going to make it. I know a lot of really smart law students who can't deal with different personalities. Like, I don't like when you tell me to do. Well, you know what? When you get a boss that doesn't tell you the way you want to be told, guess what? You're going to do it or you're going to get fired. So being diverse is going through every single experience, going through the difficult times, and like, I'm going to be a leader. I still know how to lead this ship. Even if you don't like me, you don't like me, you don't have to like me, but I accept and respect you, and that's what I expect from you. And a lot of people miss that. When they're trying to develop leaders, they teach them all about, make sure, you stand out, make sure that your resume looks great, but you forget that you're here to develop somebody else. You're here to make somebody know how to do what you do. You can't be the only good person doing what you do, because then you fail. Because when you leave, what happens? Everything falls back to the same stuff it was at. And a lot of us get this hustler mentality, and I like hustler, but sometimes I don't like hustler because you become the only hustler for yourself, and you're not hustling for nobody else. You stop hustling for your community don't know you, you ain't been back in about 3 years because you tired of them, and your community like, where is this hustler who's supposed to come help us? And I'm not saying each of you got to go back and help your community, but you do need to go help a community. You don't need to be just sitting here getting all of these accolades, all of these stardoms. I don't like attention. I know that sounds crazy. I don't like attention. I love Instagram. I put up stuff all the time, but that's because I like the filters, y'all. I'm obsessed with the filters. I like taking pictures. It's one of my hobbies. I really enjoy it. But you have to be obsessed with not the success and the accolades that come with the success, but being able to give somebody the tools that they can get the same success and do better. Like, you have to be able to do that, because that's what's going to make me proud of you. Like, when I get mentors, and raise your hand if you have a mentor. It's okay if you don't. If you don't and you need one, I don't know if I have everything you need, but if you need my cards in the back, I will hook you up with somebody who's better than me if I can't help you, but you can call. You need to start finding mentors now. That's how you become a leader. That's how you become a diverse leader. You have a leader in the law field, in the school, in your personal life. You need a mentor at every aspect of your life, and not just being limited to one space. And when you think of diversity, it takes on those variety of spaces. You are not just diverse because you're black. And I'm just going to keep saying that to you, because people think all the time it's because you're black or because you're Latino, because of a color. First of all, if we want to get down to it, and I'll take you back to the psychology and the black experience class that I had when I was at Howard University. Being black, being a race, is a social construct created by people to tell you what you're supposed to think about yourself. You are a person. Okay, I understand what you deal with on a regular basis, but at the end of the day, you are a person. The only one who's going to make the world believe that is you. So when you're trying to develop a leader, when you're trying to speak life into someone who's coming up under you, a future pre-law student, a future student that you're going to mentor, you have to remember that you can't speak the same negative self-talk that you heard your entire life, because you're going to speak that into their future. And I hear it so much, like, you're not going to be this, you're not going to do that. You need to have a reality check. Like, I had my sights were up. I came to law school, I was like, I'm going to hit this out the park. I was great in undergrad. I was going to, realistically, everyone, it's like 13 people in the whole class who get the top grades and everything, and everyone else is just happy, that they still there. Okay, just being honest. Ask anybody, 13 people do super well, and the rest of us just happy that they ain't kick us out yet. Okay, but at the end of the day, that's not all that makes you. And law school is the best humbling experience to help you realize that there are things that you are gifted at, that if you would just give yourself a chance and close the book and realize that you might not be gifted at every class and every subject matter, but you're good at arguing, so you should do oral argument. You're good at moot court, so you should do moot court. You're good at being able to form connections and bonds, so maybe you should run for an executive board of an organization. Or you're good at trial advocacy, so you should be in a clinic. There are things that law school allows you to do, but if your mind is so closed and you're like, I got to hit it out the park, if I don't get order of the quaff, I'm a failure, it's a lie. Okay, there's a bunch of certificates that I'm going to be eligible for when I graduate, and it has nothing to do with order of the quaff, and I'm totally okay with getting some certificates in community service and outreach and social upbringing. The last thing I'm going to ask you guys to do is first develop somebody. So that's a task. So write it down on your little sheet of paper, your notepad. Pick a person in your personal life who's been asking you for help, been badgering you. You like, I'm tired of hearing from you. You call me all the time with your problems. And pick that person and say, you know what, I'm going to help you. I'm going to develop you into the person that I am and that I expect out of myself, because that's what's going to help us get better. Second, I'm going to ask you to lead yourself. When you get home and you like, I don't feel like studying, I'm tired, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm about to quit. You know what? Other careers look a lot more promising right now, and they pay a lot better. And I want you to ask yourself, when that person who calls your phone and asks you for help calls you, what are you going to tell them if you can't tell yourself that you can do it? Because you can't always call somebody. There were times when I couldn't call nobody but Jesus, and everybody has their own faith life, but I couldn't call anybody but Jesus. None of my friends answered the phone. I was crying by my dang self in my room by myself. And I had to talk to myself. I had to actually make recordings on my phone and talk to myself about what it was, what I had been through. I had gone through having parents who, my mom, actually, her family took her back to India when they found out my dad was black. Like, I had stuff like that happen in my life. I was in India and I almost died of chickenpox and encephalitis. I'm fine. I'm good. Y'all don't have to feel sorry for me. But I had to think about the times where I wasn't supposed to make it, or I wasn't even supposed to be here, and I'm here. And those diverse experiences, that's what's going to speak to the law admission council. That's what's going to speak to the law professor reading your essay. They don't care about the fact that you think you're great. Tell them something that's personal. Be personal, but then learn how to connect it to your life. So when you get down, because I get down, y'all. I was down like last week. I kid you not. Like, it was bad. But like, you gotta be able to pick yourself up, because most of us don't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do that for a very long time. And the worst thing you can do is not believe in yourself and then try to develop other people. Because somebody told me, they set me down. I was like feeling crappy about myself. I had an interview the next day. It was a great interview. It was for like the biggest, awesome thing that I did my 1L year, which is I worked for the Federal Public Defenders. But I didn't know I was going to the Federal Public Defender interview. I just knew I was going to go see a public defender. Found out it was federal the night before, and I probably should do some research, so I read a bunch of stuff before. But what she's like, how you going to develop and mentor this kid you developed and then you messed up? And that's what I'm telling you. You can't develop and take somebody to the next level until you can lead yourself, until you can tell yourself it's going to be okay. And that starts with remembering those diverse things that makes you stand out in the crowd. The last thing is pass it on. Teach somebody else how to do that. And we always forget that. We make it. We get a nice little thing. This is nice, but we get this, and then like we gonna hold it to ourselves. I'm finna talk to Evangeline every time. I'm finna be in all her conferences. I ain't finna tell nobody. Keep it to myself. You should want somebody else to come up here and be able to have a speech. You should want somebody to come up here and do this so that you're not the only one who ever succeeds. You should want somebody to do that. And that's what's going to take you to the next level. the final thing, and this is what's really crucial for leadership development, is search deep down. Ask yourself one question: who are you? At the end of the day, when they write your name down in the history books, who are you? Are you the kid that, does basketball really well, but, really is passionate about helping kids? Or are you the kid that likes to mentor, but doesn't really care for mentoring because you like to do art? That's your thing. Like, that's what makes you happy. Find out who you are before you start applying to law school, because you're going to need that person, that thing that likes to have fun. When you get to your low points, you're going to need that work-life balance. You hear that all the time. No one really knows what that means. That means you can't work all day and you can't study all day. You can't become a hermit, and you have to become real. Real means you know how to make yourself happy. Real means you can take yourself out to the bowling alley or to go see a soccer game or go do something fun, because that's going to bring you peace. And then you can go back and get to your hustle, get to your grind, whatever it is. And then I don't know if you guys bring it all together at the end of the day. Bring it all together at the end of the day. But I'm gonna so it must be the end. But if you guys can bring it all together and ask yourself one thing, is what makes me diverse? Who am I deep down? And who am I leading and impacting for the future? Thank you guys so much for your time. My name is Neena Speer.